Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Jolly Green Build Along. Welcome back to the continuation of hanging axles. We've got to get the 4-link on the front of, we're calling him 62. We're calling the regular, the 3-link front with pan hardware, he's 61. So we've got to get the front end on this guy. And in betwixt last and now, I went ahead and I just hung the links. Like why wouldn't I? If you've mounted a link once, you've mounted a link. I am suitably nervous, I think, because it will not be until drive shafts are fitted, and I will cobble one together to see, is it going to fit? As long as that drive shaft clears that upper, because we know the drive shaft clears the lower, because we haven't changed the lowers at all. We haven't changed the uppers, we've just added one. It will also be interesting to see the front upper on the other guy turned out to be 114. So I am personally curious as to where the front upper is going to turn out for these guys, because I think they're actually a little shorter than that. I think they're like around 110. Then hanging the rear axles should be straightforward. He says, you know, with all the hope in his heart. That is, I mean, it looks closer than I would initially have anticipated. Now, if it's a motor clearance issue and not a driveshaft clearance issue, we can go to a shorter front upper. But I think the clearance is going to be all driveshaft related. We might have to, oh no, there we go. I don't know why I tried to fit a 20. Well, I do. Well, you know what? Let's try something. So we used a 22 for the front upper on 61. And there's threads showing. There's like 3 threads showing. So that's 1.5 millimeters. So a 20 should bottom. Look, we should just not quite get full engagement of the nylock, but we should have more than enough. And I'm wondering if it's just because we're not compressing it down. Still got the clutch set relatively low. We don't want to ruin nothing. Is that too close to your comfort? It's impossible to say. Okay, what is our pinion angle looking like? It looks about the same as what we saw before, meaning we might not have to dial out as long to get the 4-link set. Will the 4-link be a different upper link length? It very well could be. Also, I'm now noting, yeah, I think it's got to be a 22. Yeah, it's got to be 22. That is right in the middle, though. It is right in the middle. What I am noting is, we can't go any farther. We can't change those link lengths. We can't do none of that until I mock up a drive shaft. I have to mock up a drive shaft. We might end up going to a whole different, if we go to the lower, it's basically, they're right in line with each other. What did we do? Third hole? I think we went right here. Oh, I wanted to put a spacer on this. I'm using broached balls here because I can, because I think they look cool. It's just going to come down to the drive shaft. If the drive shaft clears, is that gearbox all the way over? So that's a slender shock there. Okay, nothing, no problem there. No problem there. No problem there. It is 125% drive shaft. And I think I know... Nope. Because... Okay, the gearbox is... Okay, the gearbox is all the way this way. We are well clear of this upper. We can move this that way. I am so cautiously optimistic right now. One short transition, some 90 minutes later, I've had to put a whole bunch of the front end together. As suspected, the clearances are near zero. We're running almost zero clearance on link to drive shaft, link to link to other stuff. So what I did is I took the two turnbuckles that were on there. Thank heaven for turnbuckles. I dialed them out to where I got what I found to be an acceptable compromise between pinion angle and caster angle. Right, so I got that. Then I removed them. I took two high clearance links, which are close in approximate size to that. They are 90 millimeter. The link, eye to eye, 114 millimeter. I would like the pinion back more, but I would also like not to sacrifice work. We have a fairly dynamic caster because we basically have 115, 114. What that makes happen is, what do I have that I can... So here is the pivot point, right? And because we have two links that are the same length, this is the axle out here. When the axle swings, it just swings in an arc. So the pinion goes, it moves in that perfectly smooth arc. So the pinion, the drive shaft actually only collapses about 4 millimeters. So I was that enabled me to pick two drive shaft halves that basically, like at full droop, that's the exposure, and at full compression, there's the exposure. Now with the bent links, high clearancing, absolutely no issue there. Absolutely no issue there. And I want to say with some degree of certainty that is one of the high clearance links from the $15.99 RC Lions link set, because I have quite a lot of that length. You can get away with an 85 to a 90. A 90, you're pretty much bottoming it out to get you that 114. Now, you do have leeway here. If you have any thoughts of running 4-link front on your Jolly Green, you can scooch the axle forward. You can go longer on this link. As I said, with the electronics tray in place at full compression, the drive shaft has got 2 millimeters. And then watch the, like, you can't even get daylight in between the link and the drive shaft. Nothing's hitting, but boy, are they close. And under full, look at that. 0.3 of a millimeter. Now that's a 3D printed part, and the links would just push it out of the way. And I put a brace across the top because, perhaps most importantly, I changed to the Zoku skid because it allowed me to scooch this over even more. It's actually a little bit inboard. On the 3-link, you can have it perfectly straight in line with one another, but this guy has got a very flat belly now. It worked out, and I didn't even have to get iterative because I turnbuckled it, got to that 114. So basically, the way it's laid out, if you want more pinion angle change, if you want it to be more aggressive so that you can run it more clocked, you're going to want to attach your forelinks out here at the forward holes, 10 millimeters shorter. So instead of 114s, you'd be looking at 104s. That is based on you not moving the axle forward, and you really kind of can't. You're about at the extent of it. That's about as far as you can go. So every single one that we build, the next one becomes an experiment. So I connected all the links, and here comes the fun. Will these be appropriately lengthed? And I think, tentatively, that I have put the correct spacers on Ziff Shocks Delfat. Can't believe they're 17.5 millimeter is wild. The nearest ones that I found on the top of my set screw bin are M3 by 20s. I think 16 is probably what is spec'd, because you can't quite put these won't screw in quite all the way. You can feel the resistance come up. I just kind of go flush with the little part right there. I mean, it looks good so far. What length? 7, 310, 314. We should be using 14's chassis side. Is that a 14? Feels like a 14. Could be a 12. It is a 14. 14 should be the right length for this. And we have holes on the chassis. The third hole, there's 4 holes here. The third hole up is the hole by design. Yes, I knew it was off center. And our pinion angle looks catastrophic. Truly terrible. Truly terrible. Actually, I kind of have to see it. I need to, wow, this one doesn't have a motor. We'll just grab this one. You know what? It's not bad. Okay, it's not great. It's not bad. What did I say? Upper mid 112? I moved the cheat sheet. Mid upper 112. You could get away with a 110, I think. Let's hope that's a 112. Let's see if we can just grab our spinner and go in a little bit. Oh, easy. Yeah, so we'll go in 2 turns on that. We'll go in 2 turns on this. Now we'll take a look at it. Oop. Only got 1.5 turns on that one. Oh. Yeah, that's a miss. So I was dialing it out. Now we'll see what we got. I think it's closer to 110. 110, 111. The middle, because it doesn't really have anything to position it. There's nothing attached to it, and the rear of the chassis is doing this. And when you're hooking it up, you're like, oh my God, everything's coming off wrong. Jolly Green has his links here. We're going in lower here. It's got a perfect swing. That's a perfect swing so far as I can tell. Pinions basically parallel to the ground as they run right there. Should I have popped these off? Well, we can do that. Let's see. No, it doesn't matter. Chuck bottoms out before we get to the rubber. That's probably to stop the piston from hitting the bladder on the inside. When again, sort of middle row all the way around. There's plenty of adjustability there. These shocks have enough, like you see that return? There's no spring. That's just the action of the bladder. That's I did not anticipate. Yes, and 9mm spacers are indeed the go-to. I think, okay, if memory serves, it's been a minute since I hooked Jolly Green up. I want to say much easier to do rear uppers first because the lowers basically go directly beneath them. And then they'll be hard to get to. I told you that axle attachment was going to be fairly brisk because in the front we have to deal with a fabric cobbled 3-link setup with panhard because I had to do stuff, right? In the back here, aside from shortening the mid uppers to allow clearance for a motor, we're just bolting on TRX-6 axles. This should be very close to or identical to the standard, the stock rear links on a TRX-4. The front lowers, well, I adjusted these lengths because this skid is shorter than a Traxxas skid, but it should still position correctly. If you're just using a bag of Jenny's TRX-6 links, it should nonetheless work. Every time. I should, hindsight, one chassis brace in there to position this thing so everything's not flippity flopping around would have genuinely been great. I wanted the freedom of movement. And rears are the easiest. Oh, no, I rolled it. There we go. Oh, we had a leaf style axle wrap. You can well, don't run without your rear shocks. You can actually wrap your axle. You can bloop. You can flop it over. Yeah, bloop. I was like, man, we got that angle really. That's near dead, and we don't know because the rails are flabbling around. That could well drop perfectly into the center. It looks like, what am I looking at? I would say rear upper too short, 0.5 millimeter. But I'm not going to make that judgment until all fasteners are installed here. And we put the braces in to pull the rails close to each other because it is going to get dynamic up in here. Stuff is gonna move around because as it sits right now, we have no bracing at all on here. There's no bracing. And as soon as the first one goes in, it is definitely gonna pull this chassis together. Like, what's it sitting at right now? It's not spread out too much. Let me see that angle. Yeah, I want either one. I either want the rear upper longer by about, now that I'm looking at it, I'm looking down at eye level, I would say 1 millimeter. The front is great. The middle is great. I want the rear. It's also, because the rear is just a little bit too short, it's stopping full articulation. Yeah, it really gets stiff right up there. Okay, so rather than shorten the lower, I'm going to lengthen the upper. And I opted to go 2 turns, approximately 1.5 millimeters. Well, 2 full turns, 0.5. No, it's I think that's 1 millimeter. Wait, M4. Yeah, 1.5 millimeters, 0.7 pitch. That's close. Is it perfect? No. Is it close enough for this level of shenanigans? Absolutely. You can chase that if you wanna. If you have unlimited funds and don't mind lightening yourself of them, you can go, turnbuckles throughout. Were it still easy to access titanium, if we still had commonly available, relatively economical titanium options, I would have titanium turnbuckles installed on a lot more rigs than I do. But it isn't, so there isn't. We will get into stuff like drive shaftiness. We'll get into that in the next one. We'll get into getting the electronics sorted and installed, which on this one is going to be very easy. We're basically mounting a receiver because it's a Fusion. So 61 is looking a lot easier at this point. I will also procure or locate. Hopefully I have something to put back here. I don't just want to put a round spacer back there. I don't know. I have not talked to the owner. I will sometime shortly and find out if they want me to do some kind of a bed on there. I mean, I kind of like we're not going bed. Okay, those springs, whatever those are too stiff on a level I would call monumental, because we are not going to add a ton, figuratively or literally, more sprung weight. That's going to drop in right there. Boosh. We're going to put a body on it. We're going to put wheels and tires on it. Like, in terms of electronics on here, it's still going to need this receiver. Slap a battery. We got to slap the electronics tray in it. The electronics tray. Although this one doesn't really need it, we can just use it as the battery tray. I'll keep them located together. And we've got to go about cutting those drive shafts. Let me look. I'll just keep everything located in a box. That way we feel falsely organized. Yeah, it's okay. That's absolutely okay. Eye to eye, 70. The shortest you can go in a cut to length is 68, which means we're putting cut to lengths on here, and I'm not mad about it. This would be, well, we're missing drive shafts. We're missing a gearbox. We can throw them together and we'll see. We'll throw them together and we'll see. So the rear uppers turns out 93.5, give or take. You know, it's margin of error all around. So we'll throw this like this, and then it's going to get a gearbox. It's going to get an electronics tray. It's going to get, oh, how about we put the gearbox with the motor in it? There we go. Drive shafts will add a bit, but they are, to my knowledge, this one is completely unsprung. These, you kind of split the difference, half unsprung. Bumper. We are still below 2,000 grams right now. And I know what you're saying. You're like, you're one way or the other. You're either like, that's not possible, or that's not even light. 4.25? Yeah, 4.25. 4.24 pounds. So we're 4.25 pounds. Yeah, we got to add a battery. We got to add this, that, there. And then, here's the important part. 4.24 pounds. What did I say? Just under 2,000. 1923. Right? And we're pretty close. There'll be another, realistically, probably 300 grams Right. But then you've got 1709. So you have very nearly the slider weight in wheel tire and foam. 1700 to 1900. 17/19 in terms of completely unsprung. Also rotating. That does pique a curiosity. The other guy's for is 1150. Yeah, those wheels are heavy. 1150. So let us get it far enough. You know what I should have done? So many things. But do you know what I really should have done? I should have taken a break for lunch before I started hanging axles. But I didn't. These are deluxe softs. 0.8 pound is what is fitted. And whatever is fitted to those mountains, whatever is fitted to those mountains is heavy. Like 3+ pound per inch, it feels like. And we don't have nearly enough. We're not hanging nearly enough unsprung weight or sprung weight. I kind of just blasted these through. I mistreat 3D. Well, I treat 3D printed parts as if they're not 3D printed. I treat them like they're just nylon. We need to go sharper knife. Got a little bit of burring on there. And potentially fixed. Let's find out together, shall we? I will also, on both, for stability and rigidity, we're not using these two holes back here. I will put a screw with a lock nut through one of them just to really pull it down. I wish we could do that in the front, and we could have, but it would be very difficult to do and a pain in the butt to work on. So I will not. Which would be to countersink that from the inside and put a flathead that won't interfere. And I don't want to deal with that. I just don't want to deal with that. So there's a little piece of daylight right here at the front of the slider because the chassis pinch. Am I doing this right? Yes. Sometimes you got to stop and ask yourself, A, what am I doing? 2, do I feel like I'm doing it correctly? And when I'm doing this, I truly have no idea. We're gonna go mid upper. I'm building for a little more dip. We're going for a little more bottomed out action. And by mounting the shocks, remember when I said that I wished I had put one spacer in so that it would locate the chassis? I thought it. I realized that I had thought it, and then I still didn't do it. So, what we can do is we can say that's around ride height. We can swing these bad boys forward. And for whatever reason, what do we say? Lowest hole? Yeah! All right. Infinite variabilities. Your mileage will undoubtedly vary. Maybe this is going to swing and look different, but this is second hole. Let's see what the swing looks like. No, that's pretty much right. Okay, sure. We're on a mystery tour together. So, Jolly Green, the OG, there's 4 holes in an arc. Can you see the 4 holes in an arc? What if I hold this up closer to the camera and then I say 61 is here, 62 is here, and Jolly Green is here? We're going to have to build one at some point that occupies that upper hole, which I don't think is on Jolly Green's chassis. No, Jolly Green's holes go in a perfectly straight line. These go in an arc. And the arc was discussed when it was being transferred from graph paper to reproducible, where they were like, wouldn't you like rather have them at different spacings so that it will allow for different lengths? And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, do that. Again, I feel like it's been too long since I said it last. Only ever intended to make one. I would, and most likely will, because we will go through the process of a little stiction action. Get these loosened up. That's what GTS do. No, it's dang near. Man, that's really, really close to exactly where I would want it. That's very, very close. Yeah, different holes. Completely different holes. Makes perfect sense so long as you don't actively think about it. Should I have put a colored washer on that one? I don't know. We'll revisit. What I will do is I'll put colored washers on these last ones. Just for, zazz. A little bit of zazz. Flip it over. Again, easier to work on. Uppers first. Same exact process. Have we been here before? Yes. Are we going to have to... Well, that's too short. Are we going to have to dial out those rear uppers to set the angle? I have no idea. We've changed link lengths I didn't anticipate changing, and we have had to just leave alone ones that I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I get a good measurement off of that when I was trying to measure the chassis without taking Jolly Green apart. You knew, and now if you only suspected, you know for sure. I did not remove a single one of his links. I'm not taking them apart. We're going to all pay for my laziness as a collective. Like 3 more screws, maybe a little dial in, dial out. Throw them across the scale, see what kind of a difference we're looking at. What'd I say? 1900? 1923. Or 1923. So let us see. Because I am curious as well. I know it's going to save weight, mostly at the gearbox location. But I don't know 100% what we're working with. I'd like to see, in my dream, I'd like to see like 1400. But I would settle for 17? 200 grams would be worthy. Now, these shocks are going to be lighter. And also, that was 1900 sliding. It's like the angle looks, we'll get it popped together, but the angle looks perfectly correct, and it's making me furious. These shocks are going to be lighter. Not going to be are. These shocks are lighter. They're not nearly as heavily sprung. We need to just get some spacers into place. First, let me do a little crouch. Take a look here. It is... That's so weird. Oh, wait, no, we have to put the spacers on. Let's see if I can do it in the air. Yeah, we don't know how much I actually need to adjust that. If you need 8 washers, whatever you do, under no circumstances should you pick out 9 when you inevitably drop one. Just assume that 8 will be the exact correct amount. It's definitely more Spartan in the layout, which again was the goal. Going 12s. Ooh, I should just imagine what I could do with $100 worth of Vanquish titanium screws. My tongue firmly in my cheek, by the way. If titanium fasteners, here's a perfect part to mention this, nestled, buried where no one will hear it. If titanium fasteners are something that appeals to you, take this into consideration instead. This vehicle is fitted with, 8, 16, 24, 26, 28, 30, plus the shocks, 12, somewhere in the neighborhood, closing in on 50 hollow balls. If you were to replace all of the steel hollow balls attached to this vehicle right now with the ones that come on the little sprue trees, the little molded Delrin ones that come with every Element vehicle, you would drop about 1.2 grams per hollow ball. Now, first you scoff. Not gonna bother with that nonsense. And then you do the math. There's 50 of them on there. Getting in the neighborhood of 2 ounces of weight. And all of it, except for, well, half of it, is completely sprung, is above the spring. It's on the chassis. Would you notice if the Delrin hollow ball elf snuck into your house and changed them out, would you even know? I would argue that you would not. Like, look how close they are. Get the unstiction. Oh, we're gonna have to set the rear end up for more droopiness. We're gonna have to go down 1, and I think this one down 1 forward, down 2 forward 1. Maybe down 2 forward 1. Yes, look at that, pretty much straight. Nice. And if that bottoms before the shocks bottom out, that's okay. Because when you go real extreme, it won't allow this to over collapse. Now, 6x's are notoriously difficult to doodlebug because they are very, very long. And when you're working with this one, where we're going to put both of these, 61 and 62, are both going to get sub 100 gram bodies fitted to them. So what does this guy still need? Look how close his drive shafts are. What does this still need? It's going to get a receiver, but it's going to get the skinless, it's going to get the boneless micro. So we'll just, because this is our programmer in here, we'll just throw the whole thing in the bag on there to help us to simulate weight. So that the only thing we're really missing on this is drive shafts, a body, a little delete in the back. I might dig the bins again. You can see I lengthen these out, and there's just a little, it bothers me. It doesn't do anything. Can you see it? No. But it bothers me a little. All right. What did I say? Sub 17, and we feel wavy. I think that gearbox and that outrunner, that S12 and that gearbox relative to a Fusion is gonna drop a chunk. And the moment of truth is It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Well, it's $18.95. It's 30 grams less. Okay. Why is that? 0. $18.99. 24 grams. It's less than an ounce different. That, I mean, I had hopes. There is brass, right? We do have that up there, but not that much worth. Okay, so I will softly weep quietly to myself after I turn off the lights, because Jiminy Christmas trees. The only thing I can tell myself to make myself feel any better about this is that they're not done. So we've still got a ways. I can ride that. I don't know how far I don't know how close to shore that wave will take me, but it definitely classifies as better than nothing. So, 62. There he is. 61. Oh yeah, now that I pick them up, they really do feel remarkably similar. This guy needs resprung a lot. And those springs are huge. The question will be, do I even have springs that will fit around those bodies? I don't know. Oh, the thing that's keeping me alive right now, here with you. Looks weird without it. Is there's definitely more unsprung weight over here, because there is the little bit of brass. The servo's on the axle. I'm now contemplating removing the electronics tray, putting an extension down off the bottom of the servo to run either the electronics or the battery behind the servo on the axle. Mind you, this is a 4S rig. We can get a battery about that big. Now, the battery's also so small, it might not really make a difference whether it's mounted on the chassis or on the axle, because we are talking about a lot of weight, and I'm kind of weight weaning something that is not going to be super light. I just did the quick math in my head. 1899 and 1105 is basically 3,000 grams. So we are I'm picking back up again. We have the potential to get this guy under 7 pounds. RTR, ready to run. And that will keep me going for a couple days, I think. That will keep me going. So, you see how close they are. Put your links on your axles and then attach your axles to your chassis and make adjustments as needed to links. That way, and definitely install, I would say the rear one. Install the rear brace before you start putting the axles on. If you were building this along as I was building it, I do apologize. I should have thought of that ahead of time. We're going to get these sussed out. I will get the bodies cut and ready to mount. We will go through the process of mounting them. I'll get this guy's front bumper installed. He's going to get the stinger, which should just, see, almost like I knew what I was doing. And we will get these ever closer to running, and then you will get to see, I don't know, maybe we'll take all 3 out for the ghost ride, or we'll just take these 2, and then when they're finished and this one's about ready to go to its forever home, then we'll do a 3 centipedes, side lizards, whatever moves fast and low to the ground. We'll have all 3 of them together well, we can, here in the midst of the Midwest goodbye, we can kind of do it now. We can scooch, and we can scooch, we can scooch. For those curious, if I had not mentioned it, Jolly Green, this gentleman right here, is almost, he is 10.04 pounds. And the wooden bed, which I had to have, weighs 1/4 pound. So both of these guys are going to be up to 1/4 pound lighter. Unless the feeling takes over me, because then I'm like, sheet of carbon fiber? Something down there? Something? I don't know. We will have 3 for a very short time. We will have 3 nonsensical 6x vehicles here at the canyon on the course. And we're going to find out. We will all find out together. And so help me, if this one doesn't come out slider wise, not wheels and tires included, at least finished 200 grams lighter than that, then that's filled with magic. Because that whole thing weighs less than a Stealth X. So where is the weight of, I guess it's there. Is it there? Do I have as much brass as the weight of a Fusion Pro? I don't know. It's going to bug me. It's going to be inside my brain until we meet again. So, thank you so much, everybody. If you haven't bought one, I don't know. Have I convinced you one way or the other? 3-link is easier than 4-link. On a Jolly Green. Sort of Vanquish style, really. They're all kind of meant to be 3-link, and they kind of cheat their way, except for the VRD. And they kind of cheat their way to 4-link, so we kind of cheated our way to 4-link. And I'm now cautiously optimistic. We'll see how it goes. Come on back, see how we do in the next one. More of the finishing work, and then probably the episode after that should have the ghost rides, and then we can see servo and axle versus chassis mounted. And you will find out, aside from moving the weight around performance-wise, it's not really going to make that much of a difference. Except we will have one difference that might stand out to you, and that would be that this is a 35 kg servo, and this is like a 65 kg servo. So this one also has to work a lot less hard. It doesn't have to fight any geometry. It just has to move a 75mm long link back and forth. And this thing has to concern itself with the pitfalls of front-end triangulation. Feels pretty good, aside from those ridiculous springs. Oh, yeah. Said it before, say it again. Come on back. See us in the next one. In between now and then, please win. I'll do your very best. Have a good one. We'll see you again here from the canyon with more of this, more of that, more of all the things.